Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our pod.
Hello. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. We're doing what we do best. We're recording this, and then we're uploading it.
Yep. It's been a crazy week.
It's been a crazy weeks.
Yeah, it is, because now it's weird, because now that we're on the same schedule, actually, I feel like you get home and we do dinner, and then you might be a little tired, so we watch something and then get in bed, shower, whatnot. But we're finding your groove. You're now 3 months into your new job. And
Yeah.
but I'm getting ready to start my work travel. So we're having to batch record so you can have a couple of episodes to
go. Tomorrow, and then most likely the following weekend, we're going to be going a little recording crazy.
Hopefully, yes.
But yeah, so usually I have something in my brain for us to talk about before we start recording. I don't have that today.
Oh.
I'm a little tired. It's been a long week. Not in a bad way. It's just been a long week. And, yeah, you got anything you want to talk about?
Anything I'm getting ready to start my work travel. If there is anyone listening, I do have a friend that needs like Marriott points or Southwest points. So if by chance there's anyone out in the pod sphere listening, DM us. If you would like to help and donate your Marriott or Southwest points, I would greatly appreciate it. But yeah, just, trying to do good in the world.
Yeah. So we ended up not doing the fourth show that we were going to do last month. So we didn't really get to talk about what our theme this month was going to be.
I know. I was very upset that we missed that one that we missed.
We are most definitely going to be doing that soon, and we're going to find a way, because that show charmed the hell out of me.
I know. It was so good.
We watched the whole season so it was a show that took place in a short period of time. And
it was one night.
It took place over a few hours, technically.
Actually, yeah, technically.
And we watched the whole season in like 3 days.
Yeah, and I'd watched it all before.
Yeah.
I got you to watch it, so.
And I loved it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna find a way. We're gonna find a way to do it soon. And that's so distracting.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I put some lidocaine on my shoulders. My shoulders and neck start to hurt when I sit at my work computer for long periods of time. Yeah. So sorry. I had the straps off of my PJs, and the lidocaine is now dry. Yeah. There you go. I am dressed again.
Thank you.
I apologize.
I'm trying to do a pod here. Thank God we don't do video.
Thank God.
Can you imagine?
Oh, well, I wouldn't have had the time.
No, not that. I just mean like having to do video.
I don't know. Maybe one day if we get sponsored.
Yeah.
Someone sponsor us.
I think if anyone ever wants to
collab,
if anyone ever wants to guest appear on here, I guess we would kind of have to do video, because we would have to do it via Zoom.
Yeah.
Unless they want to come here, but I mean,
we'll see.
Not inviting strangers to our house.
Correct.
All right. So it is the month of August.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
August.
Almost said July. And this month's theme, you obviously came up with it, because you come up with like 95% of our themes. Yes.
Yes, I do.
I sure do. And was this the show that inspired it?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think Summer was watching it. No, maybe Summer was watching it. Or someone
No, because when we were at dinner, you asked if anyone was watching that show.
And no one was.
Was it your sister? Was it one of your friends?
No, because my sister doesn't really like Steve Carell.
Oh, okay.
But she said she was going to give it a try. I don't know. Maybe I just heard about it.
Okay.
And I love Steve Carell.
Obviously,
and yeah.
We both
and then
do.
so it inspired. Maybe it came up in a reel. I don't remember, but I thought of it and I was like, oh, well, we could do shows that have animals in the name. And so that is how we came to our August theme.
Yeah, we love a great theme idea. The great theme ideas always come with, let's pick something where something is in the title.
Yeah.
Like, we really like doing that. And yeah, because I think we did like do we do numbers in the title? Colors. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People's names.
Yeah.
Did we do that?
Jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so today we are doing, it's a new show. It came out in March. We did not watch it when it originally aired. We watched it for the pod, and then we ended up watching the whole first season. So a lot of times you'll hear us be like, we watched the first episode, we really want to keep watching it, we haven't been able to get to it, but we stuck with this one because we both really liked it. The cast is incredible. It's so funny. We are doing Rooster. I mean, if you didn't guess already, because we mentioned Steve Carell, and we're talking about a new show, so obviously it's not The Office. But so we did Rooster. We both really enjoy the show. We'll get into that in a little bit. But for now, Anna's going to do what she always does and give us some episode and series information.
All right, Rooster, Release the Brown Fat. Rooster is a comedy drama series that premiered on HBO on March 8th, 2026. The series currently has 1 season and 10 episodes. Rooster was created by Bill Lawrence and Matt Tarsis, and the pilot was directed by Jonathan Kreisel. The series takes place at the New England University Ludlow College and centers around action novelist Greg Russo and his daughter Katie, who is an art professor at Ludlow. When Greg decides to take a teaching position at Ludlow, he must navigate his complicated relationship with Katie, who is in the middle of a campus scandal due to her ex-husband, a fellow professor, leaving her for a grad student. Rooster stars the legendary Steve Carell as Greg Russo, an action novelist turned teacher at Ludlow who is trying to reconnect with his daughter while trying to move on from his ex-wife. Charlie Clive as Katie Russo, Greg's daughter, an art professor at Ludlow, and is in the middle of the aftermath of a very messy and very public separation from her husband. Phil Dunster as Archie Bates, a history professor at Ludlow, and Katie's ex-husband who recently left Katie for a grad student. Danielle Deadweiler as Dylan Shepard, an intelligent poetry professor, published author, and Greg's neighbor on campus. Lauren Tsai as Sonny, the grad student who Archie left Katie for, and John C. McGinley as Walter Mann, Ludlow's quirky college president.
The best.
Recurring cast includes Annie Mumlow as Crystal.
Your favorite.
My favorite. Walter's executive assistant. Rory Scovel as Officer Donnie Mullins.
Yeah.
Love him. Alan Ruck as Dean Vincent Riggs. Robbie Hoffman as Mo, Sonny's roommate. And Maximo Salas as Tommy, a student at Ludlow who greatly admires Greg. And he also played Pete in The Runarounds, which we also love.
Yeah, and we loved. He was our favorite character.
The series became an instant hit and has already been renewed for a second season. Steve Carell was even nominated for Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series during this year's Primetime Emmys. You can currently watch the entire series on HBO Max.
So as we're recording this episode, the Emmys have not happened yet. The nominees were just recently announced.
Yeah.
Not that long ago. And who knows? Maybe he wins. Maybe this is a little bit of a time capsule, but so just in case you don't know who Bill Lawrence is, first of all, where have you been? But so just to give a quick, so a lot of times when we're like, the show was created by this person who also created, but his resume is so long and impressive that I kind of just have to go. So this guy, if there was like a Mount Rushmore for like modern comedy show creators, he would be up there, like, hands down. So the following that he created, he started with Spin City. Okay. Alan Ruck was insane. He also likes recasting people.
Oh yeah.
So Alan Ruck, I believe, was on Spin City.
I don't remember. I didn't. It was Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. Clone High, one of the most underrated adult animated series of all time. I really wanted to do Clone High when we did Adult Animation Month, but I don't think it was streaming anywhere at the time, but now it is. Such a funny show. I also don't know like how well dated it is, so I didn't want to go there.
Well,
who knows? Scrubs, one of the greatest, most popular comedies, sitcoms of all times, which just got a reboot. They're doing a second season. The reboot season was so good. Anybody who hasn't watched it, go on Hulu and watch it. It's so funny. Cougar Town, which maybe not everyone loved that show, but it was around for a while.
Oh yeah, my sister loved that show.
Shrinking, which has gotten recently popular. I think that show came out in 2023. And other than Rooster, probably his most acclaimed show, Ted Lasso. So, yeah. And then what's his name? I just had it in my... Oh, Phil Dunster plays Jamie Tart in Ted Lasso, the Archie. He played, yeah.
Gotcha.
So yeah, he really likes recap. And obviously, John C. McGinley is Dr. Cox in Scrubs, one of the greatest TV characters of all time. So yeah, he's got a resume. He books. So
he booked.
So just in case, usually we do that, but I'm just like his resume is too long. I'm just gonna have to spout it off. So we have some interesting questions / stories to tell.
Okay.
Just because this show is so, I feel like with these feel good type comedies, which Bill Lawrence is so good at writing those types of shows. Scrubs, this show, Ted Lasso, which are just these like ultimate feel good, watch these shows to put you in a good mood, comfort TV shows kind of thing. I feel like with those shows, you wouldn't think that we would get so personal, but I feel like those are the type of shows where you do get more personal because they just like, there's just something about them that kind of gets you in your feels.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off with kind of like an easy one. So we're going to get into the plot summary, obviously, in a little bit. But there is kind of this whole recurring theme throughout the series where Steve Carell is an action novelist, and he kind of writes like kind of like sexy action novels. And he kind of he is probably, I'm assuming, really popular with like boomers and Gen Xers. And so he's teaching these Gen Z / I don't even know if it's Gen Alpha yet, but young Gen Zs. And, they have a different perception of his work. And, some of them think that it's sexist. Some of them think that
go ahead and just put Michael Scott in a classroom today. I mean, he's
a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more mature, but yes,
just very
I feel you. Yeah.
Unfiltered of what he was saying, because to him that was okay. But
so you started teaching in the 90s,
yes,
correct?
Yes.
Your first job, you were a Spanish teacher.
Yes.
I pay attention. I listen.
You do.
And you've been teaching for quite some time.
Yeah.
And you have kind of taught. I mean, technically, you taught like young Gen X, millennials, and now you're teaching Gen Z.
Yep.
Do you want to talk a little bit about like kind of what your experience has been teaching through generations? Because I mean, through literally 3 generations, you've kind of been teaching.
Yeah, and well, obviously I taught high school first, but I also taught elementary school and junior high. I taught at a school that was pre-K to senior year of high school. And then I have taught at the collegiate level at law schools since 1999. So for, over a quarter of a century. And so I feel like teaching has evolved, obviously, as with the generations, as time has evolved. And then you throw in things like a global pandemic, and that has really changed things as well. I mean, I think back to when I was teaching in the 90s, and I'm always joking about like, what would I do if I didn't do this job? Could I go back and renew my teaching license and go back to teaching high school? I don't think so. The access that parents have with students and the students being able to message and just, I don't know if I could mentally handle that much communication.
Yeah.
The students were good in the sense of, were they paying attention? I mean, these were good kids. It was a private school in Monroe, Louisiana. So it wasn't like I was, dealing with a lot of, quote unquote bad students or anything like that. I mean, these students came from pretty well-to-do families.
Yeah.
Then move into when I started teaching for the job that I have now. Back when I first started, I'll never forget one of the students when I was giving out passwords. Now, back in the day, the passwords that we used to give out were on a cardstock piece of paper. Mm-hmm. We would hand them to the student. They would have to sign it, and then they would get their registration key. Yeah. Today, it's all done electronically. I mean, it's just crazy, But I'll never forget, this was my first year, and one of the students came up, and I think he thought he was a lawyer, was like, I am not signing that. I am not signing anything until I know exactly what it says. And, I was like, more power to you. You're not getting this password card, though. And I said, so good luck getting all of your assignments, which are on our online system. Now, obviously, I wasn't saying it in that tone, of course, but I was just like, get the F out of here. You are like a first year law student. And, I wasn't much past his age. I mean, I was in my 30s when I started this job. He was probably 21 or 22. So, I mean, we were maybe 8-10 years apart in age. But I was just like, oh my God. And so I was like, okay, I know what I'm dealing with. Because I will honestly say, Jeff, I don't think when I was in law school, I ever felt like I could talk back to anyone. It also stemmed from me being a teacher. Mm-hmm. Like, that just wasn't anything I would do. But also just the inherent, like, way my parents instilled in me to respect educators, professors, teachers at any level. I mean, I think that to me is one of the things today is that students do feel very empowered to speak up and to speak out. Like when, he is saying things in class about, I can't remember some of the verbiage from his books that they were reciting out loud, like ample bosoms or, whatever he's talking about, and the girls are like, that's not very, like, is that exactly what you meant? Or, like things were either racially insensitive or gender insensitive. Objectification, things like that. But they felt empowered to speak out. I probably would have stayed silent. Yeah. So just even speaking from my own generation, like I would have just been like, okay, that's what the teacher said. Yeah. Like you just accepted it. Where I think now they feel more empowered about speaking out. Now, I will also say that on this show particularly, that there is a little bit of being too close to the professors that I'm like Sunny, the grad student who Archie is with. I mean, she's at the president's house in his sauna and hot tub or cold plunge. Yeah. I just was like, I would never go to my professor's house, the president of the university. Obviously, this is a show and, it's a comedy. We're trying, to blend these characters together and have them intersect. I mean, she's trying to get him to help her get this internship. Yeah. But, I mean, I just was like, do these things happen? And now probably I feel like there's definitely much more fluidity in the relationships and things that are generally acceptable as well as things that are not. I mean, the local university here had a very recent controversy where one of the law professors was speaking poorly about our state governor and whether or not he felt it was right or wrong. The student felt like it was inappropriate, reported him to university administration, and he was put on leave. Yeah. I mean, wow. That one student had that much of an impact. It's crazy how things have really changed. When I was in college, if I had gone to a university administrator, they'd have been like, whatever. Like I just don't really think they would have done anything. So I think things have changed in a multitude of ways. The technology, the learning, the listening, the outspokenness of the students. I mean, I think it's a lot of different things, and and you have to roll with it, especially in a long career like that I've had. I mean, I'm learning all kinds of new things with technology, with, understanding where they're coming from. It's why I watch a lot of influencers, especially college age ones, just to try to get a pulse on, what's impacting them in their lives. So, yeah.
I think that's what makes you such a good teacher is that you're so flexible and so kind of adaptable. Flexible, yes, but adaptable is kind of what more of the word I was looking for, because there are a lot of teachers and educators out there who don't do that, and they still kind of stick to what they did in the 80s or the 90s, the 2000s. And, I know that when I was in high school, middle school, the things that the teachers said to us, if that happened today, it would be more than them just getting fired. It would be more than them just like getting a slap on the wrist or me going to the office, because I would never in a million years tell on a teacher, mostly because I didn't care. But if nothing bad enough happened to me where I felt that I needed to like report. Looking back, there was once, but I'm not going to get into that, but like, cause that's a different, I'll save that for a different episode. But there was one teacher when I was in middle school who, looking back on it now, I it's not that I wish I would have reported him. I wish I would have like stuck up for myself.
Yeah.
Because he was a piece of shit. So, and yeah, anyway, so I'll say that for another day.
And I also want to say, as an older teacher, I mean, I'm not like, I guess I'm older, obviously. It's also keeping up with the generation. Yeah. Like, you know, the company that I work for, we are developing all this AI technology that I am trying to keep up with, and I'm trying to learn and teach myself. One, because the company is requiring me to do it,
right,
but also the students know it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, as the teacher, I'm expected to know
right.
more, if, you know, as much as they are. But what's crazy is, like you said, some of the law professors aren't doing that. Mm-hmm. They're trying to hide things from them. And as a teacher, I'm like, why would you hide something? You are
right.
expected to be the expert, the leader, the one who's guiding them, and you're the one saying, no, we are not using this. That to me, and it's not just because the company I work for is saying, you know, you need to teach this. I would just be, as a teacher, I'd want to know, but I'd also want to be the one guiding them and helping them and having them come to me with questions and things. So yeah, it's crazy how generational things have changed. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
All right. So kind of, I'm going to save number 2 for last.
Okay.
I'm not talking about that number 2. Why did I say that? Cut that me. I'll cut that.
No.
All right. So the big storyline, kind of the overall storyline of the series, is a father and a daughter,
yes,
working together. So I never worked with my parents. I love my parents, but I would probably never want to work with them.
Although you did have to go work.
You love that story.
You did have to go to your mom's work.
Yeah.
You were pushing patients around on like gurneys and stuff.
And speaking of generations, how that would never fly today.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Because I was like 14.
In the hospital.
I gotten in trouble, and it was during the summer. I gotten in trouble, and my mom, as punishment, forced me to get up with her for her 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift at the hospital, and made me put on scrubs and made me work. I mean, I didn't do like
operation,
a lot.
Surgery.
I didn't do a lot. I mean, like and by transfer patients, I just kind of like walked next to the gurney. I walked next to I walked next to it and like kind of helped. I couldn't touch the patients. I couldn't like do any of that. I couldn't help put the patient on the bed, but yeah, my mom was like, "You're working," and
I love it.
I know
that's tough love, you know.
And like we said, I would never fly today.
Correct.
But yeah, she made me do that. So technically, I guess I worked with my mom one day when I was 14. But you did work with your mom.
I did.
Your mom, it was seasonal, but when you were working at Maison Blanche.
And as election commissioners.
Oh, that's right. And as you worked with your mom quite a bit.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Well, so I probably worked more directly with her as an election commissioner because when we were retail, she was up in customer service and I was downstairs. It was actually interesting because, again, you're talking about different generations, and even in retail, there are different generations. So I had gotten my mom's seasonal work as in customer service, gift wrapping. Because back in the 90s, like when you went to the store, gift wrap was a big deal. Like, especially if you had the Maison Blanche credit card, you got free freaking gift wrap. And my mom was a good gift wrapper. As you know, I am a good gift wrapper.
I am not.
Jeff is not, but he tries. He tries.
I try my
hard.
best.
But so I got my mom this job, and to know my mom is to love my mom. My mom is very unfiltered, was unfiltered. And if she felt like saying something, she said something. And a lot of times with the younger employees, or even with employees her own age, that just does not fly in a very kind of closed, cramped atmosphere of customer service, of the customer service desk. When there are 3 or 4 girls trying to do gift wrap during the holidays, I mean, you just got to put your head down and rap, but, I would hear the mumblings, and, I would definitely be understanding, because I'm like, I know, y'all, she's my mom,
right.
you don't think I don't know this stuff. I'm sorry. I apologize. I do hope that she's a good worker other than her mouth running, and so again, they were, I will say, very kind, because, she never got fired or anything, but I knew that a lot of people, like, she could rub people the wrong way. So it was really difficult sometimes, in that aspect. At the election commission, so just so you're aware, in Louisiana, we have voting districts and voting polls where you go to a school or a fire department or a library and you go and vote in the booth. And so at each of those locations, there are usually 4 or 5 places where you go to stand in line to vote. And so when I was unemployed, my mom got me a job as an election commissioner, and, 4 or 5 elections a year, it's an extra, $1,000, $1,200 a month when you're poor. That's a lot of money. So, I would do that. And then I got promoted to election commissioner in charge. So I was an election commissioner in charge, as was my mom. So we manned 2 of the 4 booths in our polling location. And so I would try to help her, because as she got a little bit older, it was a little bit more difficult. And again, working with other people of different generations, of the same generation. And elections, as you know, can be very tense and very stressful, when it's a very, kind of hostile election of any kind. And another, I will say, kind of bad thing that my mom would do is, she would look at people's like registered parties and be like, oh, you're a so-and-so, naming your party. And I'd be like, Mom, you cannot say that. But as she got older, she just felt like she could say whatever, kind of forgetting the rules, when she was in her late 70s or whatnot. But by 2016, her health was really declining. And if I hadn't put an end to it, and she had wrecked her car by the end of 2016, that was the year that you and I met, I made her retire, and I retired with her. I was like, I'm not doing it either. Thus, I'm not coming into town to bring you, to wake you up, whatnot. And so she had done this for, over 40 years. She had started in the 70s. I mean, I remember her doing this back in elementary school, junior high, and high school, and all while I was in college. So, it was a challenge working with your mom when she's doing a good civic duty, but also like running her mouth, which you're just like, Mom, you can't say this stuff with the general public, like, I know that's what you think, and you don't like that candidate, or you like this candidate. We can't talk about it. And, I do actually think maybe once or twice people may have reported her. I don't know for sure, but towards the end, when I had called the people in charge of the elections, the ladies that we worked with downtown in New Orleans, and I told them that we were retiring, I think they were sort of relieved that my mom was finally retiring but they practically begged me to stay, because I was a good commissioner in charge. I did come back because they had like no one, one election right after the 2016 presidential election. They were desperate. Like, they had a bunch of people drop. That was such a crazy election. And I was like, well, can I be a commissioner in charge? And they were like, well, you have to take the test again. And I'm like, I was a commissioner in charge from like in 2000 until 2016. And you're telling me I have to take the test again? So I came back as just a regular commissioner. And then after that, I was like, I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
I was like, I did y'all a favor because I know y'all were desperate, but for y'all to make me take the test again when I did this and actually I did it when I was in college, law school, and when I moved back. So I had served well over 20 years of doing it. So I was a little insulted by the city of New Orleans, I will just say. But yeah, so it was good working with my mom. Also, just it was something for us to do together.
Yeah.
And, I will admit, it really helped me out money-wise. It was something that,
Extra kashish.
I know I've talked about us doing it, especially now that you work Monday through Fridays. I mean, an extra $1K a year
and
each of us.
There's a voting place literally down the street from our house.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't get much closer than we are from this voting. It's where we vote. So maybe one day we'll think about it. But yeah, it was good. It was fun working with my mom. Again, it's my mom. To know her is to love her. Most everyone does. But yeah,
I did.
Yeah, she loved you. All right.
So, if a father and a daughter working together is the overall storyline of this series, the overall theme of this series is relationship between a father and daughter, or just a parent and a child. I mean, I would just say that kind of in general. These two. Steve Carell and Charlie Clive, not only do they look alike, not only did she look like a hybrid of Steve Carell and Connie Britton, who plays the ex-wife, their dynamic was so natural and so much fun to watch. They really felt like father-daughter.
I had no idea she was British until we saw
that was crazy. Yeah,
a Vanity Fair or YouTube or something.
Hearing her and Phil Dunster both talking British. Yeah. So we both have great relationships with our dads. Some more complicated than others, not in a bad way. Just it's never simple. Relationships with your parents are never simple unless you're not close with them. Maybe that's simple or not. I don't know, but so yeah, let's talk a little bit about our dads.
Yep. Me first.
Sure.
Yeah, so my dad, as I've talked about on this pod, passed away when I was 20. He was a merchant marine, and so he was gone a lot of the time growing up. And so he was usually gone probably mid-August, Labor Day, until like spring of the following year. Because he was working on cargo ships, merchant ships, so he was traveling around the world, would be out at sea. Sometimes, the boat would be on a short trip, so he would maybe come back at Christmas. A lot of times he did, maybe for a week, and then he'd get on another boat. I mean, you're not on a boat, you're not being paid. I mean, it's like cruise ships, that's why they stay on 6 months contracts at a time. So, but I think the thing with my dad was he was always the good cop in our house. I mean, my mom obviously was the bad cop. I mean, she had to be. She had to be. She pretty much ran the house. But I think the thing that my dad, because he was gone so much, when he was home for the summers, we always had the best summers. We traveled all over the U.S. Like, I can just vividly remember that. Like, we went, to Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, the Carolinas, Pennsylvania, all the way to New York, Niagara Falls, Florida. I mean, we went all up and down the whole East Coast kind of, Mason-Dixon line stretch of the U.S. And so I think my dad was always trying to make up for always, do I need to move?
It's fine. You're good.
To make up for the fact that he was gone the majority of the time. So, yeah. What about you?
Oh, my boo.
I know.
My relationship with my dad, I mean, I'm hesitating like I'm about to drop some bomb, but I'm not. It's just my relationship with my dad was complicated when I was young because we were just kind of like how mothers and daughters fight fathers and sons sometimes fight. I don't know. I don't know the dynamic as well, just because I've never really sat down and talked to anyone else about it. But my relationship with my dad was very typical in the sense that, like, he was... Sometimes he was the bad cop, sometimes he was the good cop. Same with my mom. Like, they kind of had a good 50-50 kind of thing. Like, sometimes I was scared of my mom, sometimes I was scared of my dad when it came to, like, getting in trouble. And it was more that, like, with my mom, it was more that I was more concerned with upsetting her and hurting her and letting her down, whereas I was more concerned with my dad just, like, being mad at me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
My dad's a great, I mean, you'll never hear me say, like, you know, you'll never hear me complain about my parents really ever, because I have 3 great parents.
Yeah.
Like, I have a mom who, I mean, she's the best. I mean, like, she's the best. My dad and my stepmom, I won the stepmom lottery. Like, she is the best. And my dad and I are so similar, and I think that's why we butted heads for such a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And why there was a little bit of a strain between us when I'm saying when I was younger. I'm not saying, like, now. It's nothing that I, like, am bitter about or hold a grudge over. My dad and I are very close now.
Oh, yeah.
I love my dad. He loves me, and it took me a long time to realize, like, the reason why we did have this strained relationship was largely due to the fact that we were just so much alike, and we are so similar in so many ways, but in bad ways, but in so many good ways. Like, my dad took me to my first hockey game. Like, my dad would take me to my dad would be the one, like, my mom would take me to bring me to horror movies, which, you know, I love. My mom loves horror movies. She took me to go see Scream and Urban Legend and all those movies from the 90s, and we went and saw, like, The Conjuring and Insidious. We saw all these other movies, like, when I got older. But my dad was the one who was always willing to take me to, like, the indie films, because that's more his thing. Like, he kind of likes the weird. Like, my dad introduced me to, like, Harold and Maude. My dad introduced me to, like, Monty Python and all the Mel Brooks movies and the National Lampoon movies. Like, he kind of introduced me to all that. And so I remember there was one time where I really wanted to go see Slums of Beverly Hills. Have you ever seen that movie?
Oh, yeah.
And it was being promoted as just, like, Natasha Lyonne, who was in American Pie, and David Krumholtz, who was in 10 Things I Hate About You. It was basically like, you know, these teen stars are going to be in this teen movie set in the 70s. And it was a comedy, but it was a very dark comedy. And it was very much like an indie dark comedy, but it was definitely not promoted that way. And so we went and saw it. It was it deserved its R rating. Like, it was very, but I never felt like, I know if I would have watched that with my mom, I would have felt so uncomfortable. But watching it with my dad and hearing my dad, like, laugh at stuff, and it was really when I was probably like 13 at the time. That was really when I really understood how similar we were.
Yeah.
In the sense that, like, my dad is, like, so creative, and my God, he's so, like, insanely intelligent. And I'm not saying this about myself. I'm just saying, like, it took me a really long time to realize these things about my dad. I mean, you literally texted him today asking for a dice tray?
Yes, a couple days ago. He investigated if he could do it. And that's like my dad too. Like, I feel like my dad was definitely creative and talented, but, like, that's how kind of I feel like I'm close to your dad. Like,
my dad loves you.
Yeah. Like, I messaged him and I was like, would you be able to make this? Like, we could have totally bought this probably online, but I know he would make it so good and make it to last, and it would be special because he made it for you.
And he made you the charcuterie board, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he made me the ale pie charcuterie board. Yeah. He's so talented. Like, and then, you know, you were talking about, like, laughing and, you know, intelligent and stuff. Like, my dad was the one who got me, like, you know, the Guinness Book of World Records, like the actual books, or the Mad Magazine and the World Magazine subscriptions. But kind of going on your movie thing, like, again, my dad was also into horror. He took my sister to see, like, Dracula, which traumatized her, but I would have loved it. You So it's like those funny things that
Yeah.
like, I feel like our dads were probably like really similar in that
It
way.
sounds like it. Every time you talk about your dad, it's funny because every time you talk about your dad and every time you talk about your mom, I'm like, I'm not going to say the exact same, but we had very similar upbringings, it feels like.
Because once your parents were divorced, would you say like you primarily lived with your mom?
So my parents divorced when I was in 4th grade. From 4th to 7th grade, it was like every other weekend at my dad's house. And then from about 7th, no, and even I would say until 8th grade. So from 4th to 8th grade, it was like every other weekend at my dad's house. And then once I got into high school, because Woodlawn was so close to my dad's house, it was like 1 week at my dad's, 1 week at my mom's, 1 week at my dad's, and that was pretty much like that 9th, 10th, and 11th grade, pretty much. I think maybe closer to me turning 18, I was primarily at my mom's house. But once I kind of got close to 18, I remember, I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod. I'm sorry. I don't know if I've talked about this on the pod before, but I remember having to go to my dad's house and having to tell him that like I wasn't going to be coming over on the weekends anymore.
Oh,
because I was turning 18. And my sister did the same thing. No, she didn't, because once she turned 18, because we were still all going to Parkview together, so she still had to like drive us to school and stuff. So I don't think she did that, but. It kind of reached a point where I was 18, I was a senior in high school, and I really just wanted to live at like one place. I think I was just kind of tired of going back and forth. I felt like I was too old for it. I felt like, and it wasn't just because I was turning 18, I just felt like I was getting too old for it, and I was becoming an adult, and like I kind of wanted to just like enjoy my senior year and not have to like
pack a bag.
And so I remember it was like the first couple months of my senior year, I'd go to my dad's house. But then I remember like going to my dad's house and being like, having to like sit him down. It was just us two, kind of sitting him down and be like, Dad, like I was literally about to turn 18. And I was like, I just think I'm getting too old to do the back and forth. It's not like I'm never going to come over, but like I think I'm going to stop coming over on the weekends. And my dad did something that I was not expecting. My dad started crying.
Oh.
And my dad and I are both tenderonis. So it's just like I come from a family of tenderonis. So it's just like we're all just we all wear our heart on our sleeves. I think like my dad and I both like try to be this like we don't care and nothing bothers us. But once you get to know both of us, like, you know me. I mean, like, I will say I feel like I am much more emotional than you are.
We could battle that out.
It might be a tie. You might be right. As soon as I said it, it didn't sound right.
I mean, I was crying today when people were donating, like, Marriott points.
I showed
to my
you
friend.
a clip of people watching the ending of the new Spider-Man movie, and you cried. You know what? You're right.
I started crying.
I retract that statement.
I was like, oh my god, that was such a good.
It was. By the way, the new Spider-Man movie was so good.
Go see it. It was so good.
It was so good. The ending is so good. All of it was so good. We both were tearing up at the end. I would say like we're in a lot of ways we're equally pretty. We're both emotional people.
Yeah.
But my dad started crying, and I was not expecting it. It made me start to cry, and he wasn't like bawling or anything, but I kind of saw him tear up, and I think he realized that like I was becoming an adult, and things were changing, and I was the youngest, so it was like when my sister kind of went off to college and she went off and did her own thing, it was like I was still around, so it was like there was still like a kid around. But I think once I told him that, it was like, my kids are grown up now. And I think it really hit him that like we're adults now, we're going off into the world. And I think it was less that I wasn't coming over anymore and him realizing, I don't want to speak for him, but like I think it was him realizing that like I was an adult and like technically I would say I was still a kid, but I was going off into the world and I was going to become my own person. And I think about that day, not a lot, but I think about that day from time to time. And at the time, I thought he was just crying because I wasn't coming over anymore. But as I got older and now having a daughter who's 19 and she's off into the world doing her own thing and becoming this incredible adult, this amazing young woman who we are both so proud of, how independent and self-sufficient and incredibly sweet and mature and intelligent she is. I get it now. You know what I mean? Like it's not that specific thing. It's just like the overall thought. But just to kind of summarize everything, like my dad and I went through a lot of turmoil when I was a teenager because I was a rebellious teen. I got in trouble a lot. And it wasn't that I think there was just a lot of, I think in his mind, I had so much potential, and I had so much potential to go off and do certain things. Like I was so wanting to go off and do theater and acting and filmmaking, and I kind of just like stopped doing that. And I think my dad was always just like, why did you stop doing that? Like, I think, especially when I moved back from Florida, my dad was really trying to like, because there was so much stuff being filmed down here at the time. I mean, for a very long time, but he was trying so hard for me to just be like, just go be a production assistant, like go do this. And I think I didn't do it. And I think there was a lot that he was just like, not disappointed in me, but just kind of just like, you had so much potential. Like you could have.
Well, right. I think that's like any parent.
Any parent,
and,
exactly. Yeah.
You know, I didn't know you obviously at that, even post high school, until I met you in 2016. You know, I think you were at like just a struggling young adult.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I feel like you just, I hate, the word lost isn't the right word at all.
But you're right. You could say it.
You just, well, no, I mean, it's
kinda.
not totally right,
Okay.
but I just don't think, you know, and again, I'm not blaming anyone. I just feel like, yeah, your dad thinks you had a lot of potential, but I do always wonder, like, how much did they actually encourage you at the time when you were finishing school? And you've taken some of the blame that, you know, you didn't go off to college or whatever. Yeah. I mean, for me, I have joked about my story was like, if I didn't go off to college, I would be living at home and going to community college. And there's nothing wrong with community college. I didn't want to do that.
You didn't want to live at home.
I was ready to get the fuck out and go be an adult. I think when you were 18 and when you were at the end of high school, and again, it could have also been your high school just because it was so massive and very different from mine, that you were like, now what?
That's exactly what happened.
And you know, and that's hard when you're 18 and you're like, okay, now what am I supposed to do? And so I feel like you made choices that in that moment, at that time, moving to Destin, you know, obviously you met Jamie and had Maddie. And then again, you had to make other choices that weren't easy and move home. And so it's hard when you don't have someone actually saying you need to do this. Well, he might have thought you had great potential. You know, how often did they ever say, we can help you, or, you know, you really need to do this? I mean, I have no idea, but you know, I get it. It's hard when you're 18 trying to figure out life and, you know, anyway.
But ultimately, my dad and I have a great relationship.
Yeah.
Present day. We've had a great relationship for a long time. And, I mean, we always had a great relationship. It was I never hated my dad. I never hated my parents. I wasn't one of those kids that like just hated my parents for no reason. Like I said, I have great parents, and we've had our ups and downs, but, I feel like I could call my dad for anything. I feel like he would be there for either one of us in a heartbeat. My dad would, hypothetically, because you know my boo loves living in hypothetical land.
I love it.
If something were to ever happen between us, I think my dad would choose you. And I think he would just be like, well, you're always going to be my son and I love you, but Anna's like my best friend now.
Well, I mean, they have almost said or have said like that I have changed your life for the better, that I've helped you. Because I always say deep down, I can try to encourage you. I can try to command you to do something, but you are a grown man. You can do or not do whatever you want, you know? And so while I appreciate that, I think you have made choices to, you know, to do things, to change careers, to, you know, get healthier, whatever it is. and do things on your own, and that's kind of what I mean. You have to have someone there supporting you, and not that your parents didn't support you, but I think they just didn't go, you need to do this, and thus you were left to your own 18-year-old devices, and we're like, well, I'm not going to college.
I think it's really tricky when you have two kids who are polar opposites, and my older sister knew what she wanted to do. She kind of figured it out a little bit later, but she knew she wanted to go to college. She was going to major in psychology. Going to law school was kind of like a later in, not in life, but like a later in her adulthood kind of thing. But, she kind of had like a one-track mind of like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it in this order. And she did it. and she accomplished it, and she has this great life. She has a great husband, two great kids that we both love, and a husband that we both love. She kind of did it. And for me, it was like, I think a lot of it was like my parents just didn't know what to do with me because I didn't know what to do with me. Right. And I think that was a lot of it because it was like they could encourage me. And my mom was the one who encouraged me to like go to Fortis and go to surgical tech. And my dad tried to encourage me to like, get into the film industry and kind of, start from the bottom and work my way up. But ultimately it was up to me what I wanted to do. And those things, I mean, like kind of moving home and then just like trying to join the film industry, I didn't really have that option. Like I had things that I had to take care of, and there were things that I needed to make money. I couldn't just like work from a set to a set and worry about like
income.
And I didn't want to worry about income. I needed a steady paycheck. Like I needed that because I had, obligations that I had to, pay for. And I don't regret anything because everything led me to where we are right now, and we have a great life. But I think that your parents' encouragement, unless you like have very controlling parents, which there are plenty of those out there who basically control their kids' lives. I didn't have those parents. So it was just like, they were very much like, we can encourage you all day long, but like you said, this is up to you. And that was ultimately what I decided to kind of, create my own path, and here we are.
Yeah.
And
again, there are bumps
great.
in the road for all of us. Like I lost my teaching job and, had to move home. My mom was like, come on home. It's free to live here. And I didn't want to do that, but I did it. And then that's when I started law school. So again, no one's perfect. No one has the right path. Again, I always joke, like, if I hadn't lost my teaching job, would I still be at Monroe, teaching at that school, making $12,000 a year?
That's insane. That is insane.
So it's like,
even for that time, that is insane.
That's what I lived off of.
All right. Let's get into this plot summary.
Let's do it.
All right, Rooster plot summary. Acclaimed novelist Greg Russo arrives at Ludlow College. He is there to speak to a literature class. Greg meets Dylan Shepard, one of the poetry professors at Ludlow. She takes him to a classroom full of unenthusiastic students. During the Q&A section of the lecture, one of the female students calls Greg out for the subtle sexism in his novels, which she kind of becomes a recurring character, and their dynamic is like one of my favorite parts of the show because it's very small. It's only maybe like 1, 2 or 3 lines an episode, but it's always so funny.
And that's what I mean. It's like, back in the day when you had a guest speaker in class, like you would never speak up. Like they were there to talk and you were there to listen.
Greg barely manages to recover and continues to fumble, giving answers showing that he is a bit socially awkward. After the lecture, Dylan introduces Greg to Walter Mann, the college president, and Crystal, your favorite, his assistant. It is revealed that Dylan has never read any of Greg's books, despite showing interest in their email exchanges, but then Greg admits he's never read any of her published works, despite saying he did earlier. They both promise to read each other's work. Walter begins talking to Greg about his fitness regimen, saying he has a sauna at home, which helps release his brown fat.
Brown fat.
Which is such a 2026 thing to say. Greg tries to show interest, but it is clear he just wants to know how Katie is doing. Katie is Walter's only child and is a professor at Ludlow. Katie is in the middle of a campus scandal. Her husband Archie, who is also a professor at Ludlow, was caught having an affair with a grad student, leading to their separation. Katie is hurt, angry, and humiliated. Walter tracks down Katie during one of her lectures, and the two begin to catch up. Katie admits to being humiliated and feeling extremely awkward since everyone on campus now knows of her personal life. Later in the day, Walter goes to a local convenience store to buy a bottle of water and sees Tommy, the only student at his lecture who showed any interest in his books. Tommy tricks Greg into buying him beer, but the two are immediately caught by Officer Mullins, campus security. I geeked out when I saw Rory Scovel. I've been a fan of his. Like, he used to do stand-up on, like, late-night talk shows and stuff like that. And he's so funny, and he has just one of those voices that, like, he could say anything, and I'll just start laughing.
And he's so good throughout the series, so I love him.
Tommy admits he deceived Greg, and Mullins decides to let this one go. Later that evening, Greg meets Dylan at a local bar. The two drink tequila and talk about their lives. There seems to be a spark between the two. They talk about their past relationship, and Greg opens up about his somewhat recent divorce. So it's been about, I think he said, like 5 years since they got divorced, which, if you've been married for a really long time, 5 years isn't really that long if you really think about it. Greg walks Dylan home, and she invites him inside. Greg is tempted, but rejects the invite once Dylan makes it clear she wants to have sex with him. Dylan is a little offended by the rejection, and then Greg rejects her a second time. So he gets her to ask him again, thinking that he's going to say yes, but then he says no again.
Right.
Dylan is like, what the fuck, dude? Like, right. If there was ever a chance for these two to get together, Greg just ruined it. I keep feeling like I'm saying Craig. Greg just ruined it. The next day, Greg confronts Archie. He wants to know why Archie cheated on Katie and humiliated her. Archie admits he still loves Katie, so Greg tells him to man up and make things right. Katie's angry with her dad for getting in the middle of her relationship. She is also confused as to why he wants things to work out between her and Archie, since the reason things didn't work out between Greg and Katie's mother was because she cheated on him. Greg admits that he regrets not fighting for his ex-wife, and he doesn't want Katie to make the same mistake, which is fair, I guess. I mean, we're getting close to the end of the episode. I did a quick summary, but like, so what is your take here? I'm gonna throw a question at you. What is kind of your take on, like, when a spouse has an affair? What is kind of your take on, like, the trying to work things out after the affair, or trying to? You don't have to answer this question if you want to. But what is kind of your take on? Because it's a hot butt. I mean, it will forever be a hot topic, because, you know, having an affair, cheating on your spouse or your partner, it doesn't have to be your spouse, it could just be your partner in general, and then kind of the judgment that comes with giving your partner a second chance. Like, what's kind of your take on that?
It's definitely something that I think I would struggle with, especially because of the affair, and because then you haven't gotten to it yet that she's pregnant. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
It was literally going to be in the next paragraph.
Yeah, so the grad student actually is pregnant. Mm-hmm. We find out later in the series.
We find out at the end of this episode.
We find out at the end of this episode. I think trust in a relationship is just like paramount,
right?
And so I don't know if I could ever, like, look at you and not wonder.
Right.
I think that would be my constant struggle. I mean, I'd have to, if there was a chance for us to stay together, we would have to go to, like, some kind of deep therapy, both of
big
us.
Time, yeah.
I mean, and I've always said, you know, like, I don't know. It would be really, really hard if that were to ever happen. I want to say I would forgive you and want you back, but then I would be like, why did you cheat? Why was I not good enough?
Right.
Did you not love me? Like, because those are the things that I hate when you see them on TV. Like, it was a mistake. It was just this one time. And I'm like, no. It's so always hard for me to be okay with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that, and you just said, you know, trust is so important. The things that, you know, love can only take you so far.
Yeah.
And if I ever say this I don't say this a lot to people because it is such a hot take, I guess, but it's not that love isn't important in a relationship. Obviously, it's a very important thing, but like love is like third to me. Like, I mean, because you can't, and this isn't me like excusing cheating, because I don't excuse it. I don't think there's any logic to it, but like there is this mentality of you can love someone and still cheat on them. I don't agree with that, but like there are the people out there who are like, I love my wife, I'm just not happy in this specific department of whatever. But to me, like the two most important things in a relationship or a marriage, whatever it is trust and communication. And when you cheat on that person, you have broken both of those things.
Yeah.
And
really the third as well. Like
you and I, because I mean, like, because to me, it's like, I still love you. And it's like, no, you don't. It's like, you may still love me, but you certainly don't respect me. Like, and I think that is another, hey, maybe love is fourth and respect is higher on the list than love, honestly, if you want me to be honest, because we're always going to love each other no matter what. But like, if we don't have trust, communication, or respect, then is that love even worth it? Is it even real? Is it even, it's such a tricky thing, because there are so many people out there who have had affairs and have cheated on their partners, and they did give each other a second chance, and they worked things out, and they, made it work, and, maybe it made them stronger. Maybe it changed their dynamic. Maybe it was something that, once again, not excusing it, not, kind of not excusing cheating, but like maybe that was the something that like made the change in their marriage, that maybe it made it, not that it made it for the better, but like it evolved their marriage. But to me, it's just like, I know you never would, but like, and I never would either. We both know that. But like, I know that like, if you ever cheated on me, I would never be able to recover from it. Like, I don't think, I would rather you steal my money. I would rather you like abandon me on the side of the road. Like, I would rather you do just about anything. Because I could forgive those things. Like, I could forgive those things. But if you cheated on me, I don't think I could forgive that. Like, I just don't think.
It's so hard for me to even think that you would go and have sex with someone. Yeah. Like, I would just be like I would be so beyond, like, just the hurt would just be crazy. I mean, and what I was going to say here, and then kind of what you just said about your dad, he would choose me, is that I don't think Steve Carell knows a lot about their relationship, because I think he's been a douchebag all along. Right. Like, I don't think he's actually a good person.
Heavily implied. Yeah.
Yes. And so knowing he cheated, and with who, and very publicly at their workplace, is not far off from his character.
Yeah.
And Steve Carell is essentially like, I want what you want. And she kind of wanted him back, where like, I think, like, if something happened with us, like, let's say, you cheated on me, and your dad, and I think even Gina and Shelly would just be like, have you fucking lost your mind? Like, they would be upset, but for me, and I don't know if they would take my side technically, because you're their child, but I mean, I think my mom, I think she raised me, and again, kind of like my dad, going to my dad, I just think he would be really upset for me. Like, my sister had kind of a bad first marriage, and they did not want my sister to be with him. She married him, and she eventually got out of that bad relationship. But I think my parents were both really hurt that she went through with that marriage, and, don't want to rehash that stuff, for my sister, out of respect for her. But, I just feel like your parents just want what you want.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes hard to resolve that and say it. But I don't think Steve Carell has the whole story.
Right.
Like, and we're kind of learning that here. Whereas, like, your parents love me, and they feel like I've been a good influence, and I've, really been a positive, impact in your life. If I cheated on you, I think that they would be shocked. Like, I think they'd be like, what the hell, Anna? You did this to your boo? Like,
it would be shocking. either way.
Yeah.
Because we are so publicly and obviously in love with each other, and we're very. It's just, you know, and we don't, you know, we're not like
PDA, and
we're not like posting couple selfies on Instagram. It's very much like
24/7.
It's very much like when you're with us, you can just tell that like we have a very naturally loving relationship, and we're not trying to make it anything. And by the way, nothing wrong with posting couple selfies. We're just not that couple. Like,
right.
Nothing wrong with that at all. But like, we're just not that couple. But yeah, I think if either one of us ever cheated on each other, I think it would be shocking to anyone that one of us ever did that. So yeah, that's just kind of my take. That's our takes on cheating. Nothing wrong with giving your partner a second chance. Nothing wrong with trying to work things out. I think it's varied. I honestly think it's kind of admirable. I mean, like, it's kind of admirable that you love this person so much that you're trying to look past this horrible mistake that the other partner made, and you're willing to work on it. I think that takes a lot. You know, that takes a lot, and that takes a special kind of person, because I don't think I could. Like, I don't think I could ever trust that person, because I'm not going to talk about you because I don't like the hypothetical stuff.
You hate the hypothetical stuff.
If someone ever cheated on me, because, you know, it's happened in the past, and
all the time with me. So
I just could never get past it, and there was no more trust, and I just can't look at that person the same.
Yeah.
And the falling out of love happened so quickly for me. If I ever got cheated on, like, it was just like,
Same.
Well, I don't love you anymore. It's just like,
and I think that's it. Is like, I've always been a person, and we've talked about you cutting friends off and stuff, and I've had kind of a different life. But when it came to guys cheating on me, or like not wanting to be in the relationship anymore, I was always like, bye. Like, I was never truly a lingerer that way. I mean, I didn't really date that much.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Catch you on the flippity flip.
Bye. Speaking of Steve Carell, all right, so we got 3 more paragraphs. We were almost done. We went on a little tangent, but that's what we do. Okay, so Katie goes to Archie's home to confront him and to possibly start working on their marriage. Archie admits he still loves Katie, but confesses that Sunny, you just said it, the grad student, is pregnant. Katie demands that Archie leaves, even though it's his house. That was really funny. He leaves, and out of pure rage, Katie sets fire to Archie's favorite book, which accidentally causes the entire house to set fire.
Oh my God, so fast.
I mean, that's what happens, especially with those old books. Kate... And with a chimney that isn't real.
Yes. All the embers start flying everywhere.
The episode ends with Katie and Greg giving comically conflicting statements to Officer Mullins.
Yep.
End of episode.
Y'all, loved it.
Y'all, the show is so good. If you love Bill Lawrence and you love any of his shows, if you love Ted Lasso or... Ooh, I almost knocked my drink over. If you love Ted Lasso or Scrubs, this is kind of the same vibe. Just this feel good. You're rooting for these characters. You relate to them. You get them. You kind of, with the exception of maybe Archie, you kind of fall in love with all these characters, and even you really. I think the most interesting character in the show is when you get to know Sunny more. I think she kind of becomes a really interesting character because she is, in my opinion, very similar to Katie, which is not. I don't think was a coincidence. Both very intelligent, driven women, very career-driven women, and we get some great guest stars as Bill Lawrence. Good. As Bill Lawrence always gets great guest stars on his shows. So go on HBO Max, watch this show. It's so funny. The episodes aren't long. I think they're like 30, 35 minutes, maybe. No, I don't think they go much longer than that.
They're not long.
Super easy watch. You can watch it over a weekend. I think it took us like a few days to watch it.
Just because we were busy doing stuff.
Well, and we like to break things up and kind of savor it. So I think that wraps up this episode.
Yeah.
All right. That wraps up this episode. Thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on whichever platform you listen to this podcast on. That way you'll be notified every time we publish a new episode. You can also follow us on Instagram at WeJudgePilotPod. We are so close to 1,000 followers, y'all.
Oh my gosh. Where are we at? I
think the last time I looked, we were like a little more than 50 followers away from 1,000 followers, which is incredible. I never thought in a million years we sat with 60 followers, 70 followers for such a long time, and then over the last few months we have just gotten an influx.
Flurry, yes.
An influx of followers, which has been incredible. We have met so many great people who have their own podcast, and it's just been incredible. But help us get to 1,000. That would just be so incredible. We're not going to win a prize or get anything out of it. It would just be just a milestone for us, just something for us to celebrate and something for us to be excited about.
Exactly.
Sock Doc, sponsor us.
Yes. Poppy, Benefit, AG1, Nike. Anyone?
FYE.
Chili's.
Blockbuster.
Target. Sony, Beats, by Dre.
All right, so yeah, Instagram, We Judge Pilot Pod. We're also on Facebook and Threads, but go to Instagram, follow us.
Yes.
Leave us a comment, suggest a show for us to watch, or leave some emojis in the comments. What you got?
All right, the Rooster.
Of course.
The college, the sauna people, or the spa.
There's a college?
There's like a school building.
Oh, okay.
The book, art, the fire, the police, the bicycle, the tub, the cocktail, the sun for sunny, the pregnant person.
Did you put the book?
The book.
Yeah, the fire.
And then, oh my God, what the hell did I write? It's under book. Oh, the UK flag they're British. And that's it. All right. Well, we are going to head out, but we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for listening.